Have you ever noticed that when you try to rekindle an elderly man's adventurous side, it may come at the cost of him losing his home? Well, that's what Lincoln found out in the episode I'm going to talk about today. So join me as I, SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, bring you another retro review from past seasons of The Loud House. Cue the intro! Today's episode is The Old and the Restless. In this episode, Lincoln sees his pop-pop no longer being the spry man he once was because of an overbearing nurse named Sue, so he decides to take his grandfather out for a day of fun so he can prove he's not as frail as he thinks. I'll start off by saying my first positive is the relationship between Lincoln and Albert. It was great seeing them interact and how Lincoln helped in reminding his pop-pop about all the things he knows he's capable of doing even in his old age. This brings me to my standout positive of the episode, which would be Albert himself, voiced by the late Fred Willard. I really appreciated how he wasn't depicted as some stereotypical old person in a retirement home who can't do much of anything. He proved he's not as weak and helpless as Sue originally led him to believe, but I'll get back to her in just a moment. I just love the way Albert was presented. He has so much young people energy, is very flexible, and it was just awesome seeing him ditch his grandson and go around the city doing the kind of things you would never expect an old man to do. Although I think we can all agree him running through a baseball field with or without his boxers is something we'd all rather not see. But yeah, Albert was the biggest positive of the episode, and he's the kind of risk-taking grandparent I think we all would have wanted at some point. We also got to see other residents at Sunset Canyon like Bernie, Seymour, and even Scoots. Scoots of course had some fun moments trying to piss off Sue any way she could. Now speaking of Sue, she was this episode's antagonist, and she had a very unique brand of, for lack of a better term, evil. She kept reminding the old people about potential injuries they may get if they do something they shouldn't do for their age. One example being the possibility of breaking a hip if Albert does a cannonball to enter the swimming pool, hence why he was told to use a helper chair. She was using and abusing her position as a nurse to make her job easier. She was able to control everything everyone did by reminding them of how old they are and how they're more prone to getting hurt, and I guess being reminded of that made Albert believe Sue just might know what's in his best interest. However, Lincoln helped to remind Albert that he still got pep in his step. Albert was having so much fun not caring about Sue or any of her threats about being kicked out of Sunset Canyon if he wasn't back by the 6 o'clock curfew. Unfortunately, he did end up missing the curfew and got locked outside. Even though Albert was able to sneak back inside the home thanks to the assistance of a few of the other old people, he's ultimately caught by Sue, and yet he doesn't regret anything that happened that day. He said he doesn't want to live in a place that makes him feel like a helpless old man, and I genuinely respect that. Then all the seniors stand up to Sue by saying if Albert goes, they all go, and Sue would effectively be out of a job if she didn't allow them to have the freedom they deserve. In the end, everyone comes out as a winner, and Albert no longer has any doubts about who he really is. Overall, this is one episode where I cannot find any major complaints because it was characters like Albert that made this episode so fun to watch. He easily had all the best moments, his relationship with Lincoln was very nice, and he proved to be the best example of the phrase, age is just a number. It's also worth noting how Lincoln is the only Loud sibling to appear because none of his sisters are seen or mentioned. Honestly, I don't think any one of the girls could have made the dynamic with Albert work the same way Lincoln could. I mean, he is Albert's little lookalike after all. My only minor critique would be how Sue is never seen being officially reprimanded for her power trip. Then again, we never see her following this episode anyway. Either she quit and found a new job at a different retirement home, or she got fired off screen. No matter what, this was another strong episode to kick off the second season of the show, and it's easily one of the best. With that said, I give The Old and the Restless a 9.9 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of The Old and the Restless. So I gotta ask, what did you guys think of this episode? Sound off in the comments below, and be sure to click that subscribe button for more Loud House related content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.